Welcome back to round number 4, the final round. So, when going through and shuffling and preparing my deck from all of the discarded cards from the heroes, I have took out the gold key and the scroll of minor teleportation, giving myself one face down XP. So that's just points that will count towards my total at the end. I think my total might be kind of low, but that's okay. If I can defeat Castrum, I will feel pretty satisfied. How can I possibly do this? Well, I think first I'm going to activate Kron. He's activated, and he is going to play Hide and Deep Knowledge sideways to go ahead and do a Burst of Strength, which allows him to cast off 1 wound token. Take this 1 wound token, and I'm going to apply it to Graltar because I realized I did not give him one in the end phase. I could not give an additional one to Krom or Petra because they were already both defeated. Okay, so now he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wounds on him, so he is back in action, although likely to be defeated later, but that's okay. He's a noble warrior. Hopefully he is going to be able to deal some damage to Castrum before all is said and done. So one way he could do that is to play this action card to allow him to draw 2. And I'm really hoping they are cards that are going to help boost his attack, but let's see. It is a card that would help Graltar later, that's okay. And it's a card that would help Petra, so that is not great. Place it over here. Well, let's see. He has a base attack of 3. He can increase that up to 5. And if he's able to figure out any way at all to do damage, he would be able to do 1. If he's able to get his attack up to 6, he could do 1 damage to Castrum, since Castrum has a defense of 5. And then he could take the benefit of here adding 2 additional damage for a total of 3 damage. But I think the way that things stand, there is just no way for us to be able to gain that. I've already done a Burst of Strength to bring myself back into the game. I don't think there is any way he can get back in this. I suppose he could go up to try to take out the Death Fairy, at least gaining 3 XP so that we could add that to the 1 we have available so that we could purchase one of these cards in the offer. I think Burning Desolation would be really good for Ipsy. Well, first let me stand him back up. Okay, so he has not spent any speed thus far. He could move, just trying to make sure there's no way for him to do damage to Castrum. Again, Castrum's defense says he cannot have his defense ignored or reduced, and it's already 5. 3, 4, 5. I cannot do another Burst of Strength. Yeah, that's really unfortunate, but I think that's the way it is. So Crom is going to move up. He is going to, well, let me consider. If I use Boots of Strength, I could maybe open up one of these cards over here so that any attack that comes, the next attack will target him. Alright, so let me take him back to where he was. Okay, so I've stood Crom back up. I know there is no way for him to get over here to inflict any kind of damage against Castrum, so instead I'm going to have him go up here to take out this enemy, acquiring its 3 XP. So he's going to move from adjacent, so he'll spend 1, 2, and then 3. And he only needs to inflict 3 total wounds. So he has his Assassinator card, which he can play, bringing his total attack to 5. 5 minus 4 is 1. But looking at special ability, if you inflict any damage at all, deal 2 additional damage. So that would be a total of 3, allowing me to defeat the Death Fairy. So I will take 3 more. I now have 4 I could work with, and when I look at the offer, I think that would either be Burning Desolation, which would be the attack spell I could use for Ipsy, or the Golden Full Plate. Petra could play Inspire. I think I'm going to take Burning Desolation. I'm really intrigued by the bottom part. The attack ignores the target's various defenses, and Castrum right now is in a position where his defense cannot be ignored or reduced, but in the future we may be able to do so. And if that's the case, then this could be really powerful, especially with some of her other cards. My current hand limit is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I should probably discard some. Well, I may regret this, but I'm going to discard some of Petra's cards. First, I'll pay me XP, and we'll draw an artifact. The Mask of Insight. When you draft this artifact, place it face up in your play area. Once during each round, you may choose one of your heroes to play one card that does not match his or her race or class. So that's pretty cool. Discarded 2 cards that are used by Petra. I want to keep the Boots of Speed, I think. Although, given where everyone is positioned, none of them should really have trouble reaching Castrum. So, again, very much may regret this later, but I'm going to discard this. I have 4 cards in hand. 3 for use by Greltar, 1 for use by Ipsy. Let's see what else we can draw. Alright, another for Ipsy. This will be helpful. Would have been nice to have this earlier. Okay. All right. So if we take a look at the enemy AI, there are no enemies that we need to refresh. I think it's pretty obvious, given that this spider will exhaust itself to attack Graltar, since he is of the race depicted. And it is doing 2 with a 1 bonus, so 3 minus 2. He takes 1 more poison wound. So thankfully that is not enough to defeat him. Castrum's attack says that he moves until adjacent and within line of sight of 1 target hero, and then does a melee of 7, inflicting poison wounds. So this may very well take out Graltar. So 7 minus 3 is 4. He already has 5, so that is enough to defeat him. So I'll take another -1. And I will put the corresponding number up on his player card. So that is really, really too bad. Okay, let's go ahead and draw Castrum's next card, see what it is. Place 1 zombie. He is +3 if there is at least 1 zombie adjacent to him. Okay. So, going to grab the zombie. And I will place it here because I think that means he would be closest to another of our heroes, but then again, if I were to place it here, there is no way that Petra could target it, meaning that his armor would stay higher. So, yep, I think I'm going to place it there. And I said Petra, I meant to say Ipsy could target it. So I think I will do that. Go ahead and exhaust this, draw our next card. Okay. It's very interesting. Ipsy currently has line of sight on Castrum, but there is an enemy in the way, so that is obstructing. So it's as though it's an additional space away, meaning she couldn't make the attack from here because this enemy is interfering. But she may be able to make it from here. She obviously can move here. It would be great if she could just stay still, then she could attack twice. Either way, I'm activating her. And she, I guess, could play the Iron Golem to defeat the spider, and then that doesn't count as one of her attacks, and she hasn't spent any speed, so then she could have 2 attacks. She could then play Burning Desolation, which says it ignores the enemy's armor, so that would ignore Castrum's 5 plus his bonus from the zombie, so that means that 6 would go through. 6 plus 2 is 8, so he would be only 1 away from being defeated. Let me see then if I play her Dark Recall, I can draw 3 cards. Or 1 from my discard. Let me see in my discard if there's anything there's nothing there I want, so I'm going to draw 3 cards. Yes. Okay, 1, 2, doesn't really help, and 3. This could help. Alright, so I think I have a way to defeat Castrum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play... I'm not going to move at all. And I'm going to play the Iron Golem, which is a free attack. Has an attack of 7 against this spider, which has only an evade of 2, so that's clearly enough to defeat it. I will give myself happily 1 XP. I need to take 1. I'll do that later, never mind. And I have now the ability to play this attack spell. So this is an attack of 6. And it does ignore the defenses. So all 6 go through. If I play 2 of these cards sideways for a burst of strength, that would be 7, meaning all 7 would go through, which would defeat Castrum. But I want to see if I could do it. If I spend a second attack, so I think that's the only way I could do it, and I wouldn't actually spend protection sideways. I would do... No, I would do protection and assassinate sideways to give myself 1 more. But I just want to take a second to check the rules to make sure that that is a legal play. Alright, so the way I understand the rules is that I can play these 2 cards sideways to give myself a +1 ranged attack added to the new base of 6. Which would allow me, give me a total ranged of 7, which ignores the enemy's defenses. So in this case, it would be an attack of 7 going through, ignoring his 5 base plus the 3 bonus from the zombie, which added to the 2 we've already inflicted would be enough to defeat him. I think there might be some question of whether or not this is line of sight. The total distance is 1, 2, 3, but I'm not attacking twice, so let's say even if I moved, I could move her here, which is absolutely line of sight. So regardless, it would have been a legal play. Even if I had left her here, I think that is clear line of sight because it's only 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to leave her where she is. And I think, I guess maybe the only question is these 2 cards I'm playing sideways, right? To give myself a +1 bonus to the attack spell. I know this attack of 6 ignores the armor, but does this attack of 1 ignore the armor? Maybe that's just the Mage Knight player in me parsing it out too much, but I'm going to interpret it such that this 1 bonus is added directly to this attack spell, meaning that the attack goes through. If anyone could clarify that for me, I'd really appreciate it. You definitely break my heart if you would tell me that that's not a legal play, but that's the way it goes. All right, this is awesome. I have defeated Castrum. And I like to place the wound tokens underneath there so you can see all of the damage that he suffered. Wow, that's just awesome. That is just awesome. And I am able to take advantage of the 7 XP plus the 1 I previously earned from killing that spider. So that's 8 XP I've earned. I have to go back to the XP bag to pull those out, but I'll return in a moment. Okay, so I have given myself my 8 XP, and I am going to spend 6 of them right now. To purchase the Mask of Insight. And what's interesting about an artifact is that whenever you draft it, you place it face up in your play area. So this is a bonus that will be, like all artifacts, available to any of our players. And so I'm just going to place it here by our hero cards to remind myself, and I think I'll probably use that on the next hero activation. But let me go ahead and clean this up. And I will place these under or beside Ipsy's card. My current hand, I'm not sure if this counts as toward my hand, but it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me take a second to check to see if this does count toward my hand limit. Okay, so I think this does not count toward my hand limit, which means I can draw 2 more. All right, so I have my hand of 8. I have defeated Castron. We can just simply disregard all of his character-specific cards. They no longer have any effect. I will go ahead and replace the artifact I drafted. I will get rid of the one in the center and replace it with a new artifact. I will go ahead and activate the highest XP monster, who I think would be either the zombie or one of the goblins. Let's see, the zombie says each time the zombie activates, remove the bottom wound token. That doesn't really apply. It has a speed of 2. So it could move 1, 2. Now it's adjacent. Its attack is 3, and Ipsy's defense is 2. It doesn't have any attack buff, so her damage is only 1. All right. Getting close. I may be able to reveal some of these upper tiles after all. I think what I'd like to do is to do a burst of strength to activate Groltar. Have him move up here to reveal the tile, maybe with the Felwraith, or probably the Felwraith. And then use the artifact so he could wear the mask so that he would be similar to Ipsy's class. Once during each round, you must choose one of the heroes to play 1 card that does not match his or her race and or class icon. So he could play something like this attack spell of 4. Against the Felwraith, it would ignore its defense, so 4 damage would go through. But that's still not enough to defeat it. I wonder if there are others here. I'm going to take a second just to review the cards to see what he might be able to do. his base attack is 3, 4, 5, 6. Wouldn't have the option to attack twice. I'm not sure. I'm going to think it over. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Petra activate. And she is going to discard 2. To do a burst of strength. So now she is active again. Then she is going to spend 1 to open this door. And then she will spend another speed to move over so that she has line of sight on the Felwraith. And then she will play the Mask of Insight. I'll use this now to take advantage of Ipsi's attack spell. So that's a ranged attack of 4. Ignoring the Felwraith's evade, that does 4 damage. And that is her turn. I have a hand of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can have 2 XP to spend. So everything there is greater, unless there's anything in the discard that was worth only 1. There's not. So I'm simply going to draw back up to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so I should go ahead and replace this. Should have replaced this because it is now going to be discarded, which it is. The highest XP monster, who is the Wraith, is going to attack someone of Petra's class. And so it does melee attack, so it's going to come here close to her. Do a melee attack of 4 with a bonus of 1 for 5. And targets attacked, we see, have armor and evade of 2. So it's like she has 0 against its attack of 7, actually. It's actually 7, plus 1 is 8. So that clearly is enough to defeat her. So she is defeated, and I'll take another -1. And the Wraith is exhausted. Okay, we've come to the final turn of the game. I have these 8 cards to work with, 2 of which I need to discard to play sideways to give myself the necessary burst of strength. To stand up and attempt to defeat this Felwraith. So I need to find a way to inflict 4 damage. Well, his base attack is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you could do an attack of 7 against a defense of 4, would be 3 damage. On 4 damage would be just shy of what we need to defeat it. And I've already done a burst of strength for +1. And I have no way to play these other cards. I guess I could have played the Ivory Chalice instead of doing the Burst of Strength to remove these wound tokens from myself, but the way I understand it is this card is not available to me to play until I've healed to be healthy enough to use it, so I'm simply going to cast this off to gain 1 face down XP, which I'll take this 2 and turn in one of my 1s. So I think I'll attack. I guess I could really choose anything, or maybe see if there's a way for me to open this last tile. His movement, though, is only 4. And he would have to go a hard way. He would have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so that's just not possible. So I think he's just going to go ahead and wipe out this lowly zombie. And he's going to do that with his base attack of 3 minus the armor of 1. So he only needs 1 attack. So I think he'll play this one. I think he'll play this one to give himself a total of 1, 4, minus 1 is 3, so he does the 3 damage, taking the zombie, obviously gaining 1 more XP, which I will take here. So he now has 3 to spend. And I think that is the end of his turn, obviously. We'll go ahead and still play out. Well, I guess before I do that, he would have these 3 XP to spend. He could afford this, so I'm just going to discard it and pull it out of curiosity to see what it would be. The Gauntlet of Dark Iron. Well, we can't afford it, so such is life. Okay, I will remove this, replace it, remove this, and replace it. The highest XP non-exhausted monster would attack Groltar, actually. So again, it could be this spider comes up. And it has a bonus of 1. The card he previously played gives him an armor bonus of 1, so his total defense is 3 against an attack of 4 because of the spider's bonus, so he takes 1 poison wound, which is enough to defeat him. So it's kind of like the game is still not quite finished with us yet. It does force me to take 1 more negative XP, and it leaves only Crom and Ipsy standing. But wow, overall, what a game. I was able to go ahead and satisfy 2 of the 3 quests: the hardest quest, the final enemy quest, and the easiest quest, the mentor quest. So that is pretty satisfying feeling. Um, this is only maybe my fifth time playing a full game, so I'm sure there were some rules that I had overlooked or things I had gotten wrong. It's really difficult to keep track of the cards in hand while also filming at the same time. Um, the game definitely eats up a ton of space, so that's kind of like another challenge. But I hope that the playthrough gave you a good sense of the game and how the rules function. Whenever we come back, I'll tally up my final score and offer some final thoughts on Dungeon Alliance. All right, time for final score and final thoughts. If I take a look at all of the XP I've earned, I'll add that up and then subtract all of the negative points for times I've had defeated heroes. I'll add a -4 for each tile in the tile drafting area. There were no tiles left in the master stack. And then I'll also add a -1 for each enemy left on the board. In total, that's 18 negative points. And I had 43 positive points, so my total is 25. I was able to defeat 2 of the 3 quests that I had set out for myself. If we take a look at the rulebook, it says that if you are able to complete 2 of the 3 quests, including the final enemy quest, that's considered an expert level. I think that's pretty generous. I think maybe if I had, first of all, made no rules mistakes, and I very well may have, but if I had no rules mistakes, defeated 2 of the 3, including the final enemy, and ended up with more than 30 points, I would consider that to be an expert. But hey, if the rulebook says I'm an expert, I'll take it. For final thoughts, I really love this game. I think the design is just incredible. The debt it owes to Mage Knight and Vlaada Chvátil, I think, is an obvious one. I think that this game definitely scratches that same itch. I wouldn't say that it's a much lighter game. I think in some ways the combat is a little bit more straightforward. But at the same time, there are a ton of moving pieces. I think, my only criticisms are that I wish there were a more elegant way to keep track of things like your damage. There's just so many moving pieces that you have to keep track of that picking them up and moving them around can become a little bit of a pain, whereas having a character sheet with something like a slider makes it a little bit easier, although there could be problems with that as well. I like that it feels to me like there's just the right amount of luck. I love this one die. I love rolling it for the different monsters' defense abilities, like the instincts of the Varg. That feels kind of nicely thematic. I think one of the reasons why I really got into board gaming is that I discovered a game like Mage Knight that allowed you to have this sort of self-contained adventure within, let's say, like 3 or 4 hours, or even shorter sometimes. And then each time you play, it could feel very different. And I really liked that it wasn't narrative. And previously, I played a ton of video games, and something that I found really troubling about the trend in video games is that I think in the past, 10 years, the games have become much more narrative in nature. So if you think of these big AAA titles like Uncharted or God of War or games of this nature, it felt like you were just on rails and that you weren't playing the game, but the game was playing you. And every once in a while, you got to press a button. And I really didn't like that. It seemed like in board games you had designs like this one where you could have this sort of open-ended adventure where you fill in the blanks, you make up the story as you go. And I think that some of the text that you find on the character cards sort of allude to different aspects of the world in which you're playing without really spelling anything out. So, for example, there is another character in the base game who is the half-brother of Crom. And it's just really cool. I love playing with that character and Crom, going on adventures together through the dungeon, seeing if they're able to help each other, seeing what happens to the 2 half-brothers. yeah, it's kind of nerdy, but it's also really cool at the same time. So I would heartily encourage anyone to try out Dungeon Alliance. I think it's a great buy. I can't wait to see some of the expansion content. I look forward to hearing any of your comments, any corrections on the rules. Definitely let me know, and I hope that the video was helpful in terms of giving an overview of the game and walking through some of the rules. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.